Everyone, it's Ceci from Ocean New 101. I'm here with Jeremy. He's an overseas basketball player in Sweden. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me today.
Yes, of course. And can you tell us just a little bit about like how Sweden was and like kind of like the differences out there than it is from the U.S.?
Surprisingly, I've been to I think 8 or 9 different countries now, and one thing that I found when I went overseas is that they have the same problems over there. They have the same likes, dislikes. People want to be seen, heard, felt. They want to feel important. So it's really interesting. When I went to different cultures, I realized I was going to find the same things. So like me being friends with like your brother, that happens over there. I meet one kid that's 16 or 17 years old that wants help and that wants to get better. And then I made friends with the church, and then I felt like I had a couple of people that were like my new brothers. And so it's super interesting because wherever you go, whatever you're paying attention to, you will find. So if I went over there and I was trying to party, I would have found plenty of partiers. I would have found all of that. I would have found that culture. But so when I went over there looking for stuff that's wholesome, stuff that's real for me. Like I want a real life. And so I found that. I found family. I found friends. I found people I could spend New Year's with, even though I didn't know them. So like, I think people would be surprised that like around the world, everything's pretty much the same. The one thing I did think that was different about Sweden is I felt like they had a little bit more of my sense of humor. But I found out my great-grandfather was from there before I went out there. So I was like, maybe like these people are kind of like family because they kind of are family. Like I am part Swedish, so.
Trace it back all the way to a few years.
Yeah.
And then, how was your basketball career in Sweden? Because we all know you play basketball. How was that? How did the games go? How was it?
It depends on what part of the season we're talking about. So, very beginning, totally fine, except for I rolled my ankle. Game 1, quarter 3, on a fast break, did a little Euro step, no look pass, and completely I think I tore something here on the inside to where I was like 15% of myself. I was shooting jumpers on one leg. I was shooting 12% from 3. Like I was just having to get to the hole. I was really struggling with balance, but got through that part. I played all 32 of 32 games. Eventually started playing the best of my life. But honestly, I attribute that for my faith in Jesus because like I've had anxiety so often on the court, and I'm sure there's plenty of people that listen to this that have anxiety at some point. I know what that feels like, and that doesn't happen anymore. And so it's just like I feel like I have a bigger coach now in him, and it just changed the way you play. It changed the way, like, if you're playing against a bad team, you're not going to play down to their level because that's my coach. Like it's not about comparison. It's not about that. So like I finally got in a rhythm. I finally got in a flow. And I'm grateful I had a coach out there that really trusted me too. He's like, just day by day. And so then once I got in the flow, and then once you're confident, I mean, you know how that feels probably because, in your sport too. So
I'm glad that you had great perseverance over that. And what is like, how does your basketball career inspire young athletes who are just younger, looking up to you? How do you think that inspires them?
It depends. I really feel like we have a thing I call it normalizing. So if you spend time around somebody that can make 13 shots in a row, you're like, oh, that's possible. Like it feels like you can touch it. Like, okay, that person can do that. That means I can do that. When people watch like the NBA and stuff like that sometimes it feels like it's so far away. Or the top leagues in volleyball, sometimes they see that and they're like, I don't know if I could do that. If you spend time with that person at their house and you saw them eating chips and chilling on the couch, you're like, oh, that person's a normal person. So I feel like what I give to the kids is that as you saw when I walked in the gym, if I see someone working on something, I'm going to touch them. I'm going to be close to them so that I can show like, hey, this is just a normal thing that you can work on. They want to look up and they want to see the things that I've done. I've done some cool things. Like I said, this is my best season I've had. But it's like I feel like that's how the only way it can inspire people is they feel like I can reach that. It's the only way that people can feel inspired. Because if I wasn't good, I'm like, oh, I'm just different. Now I'm not inspiring someone. Now I'm saying, hey, I'm different, and now you can't do this.
Great advice. And just what is like the most challenging part of being a basketball player or just an athlete in general?
Good question. I think it was the anxiety that came with it as I tried to play a character. So if I walked into a gym and I was like, oh, I'm an athlete, it was tough. I feel like I was putting extra pressure on myself, and then I was elevating myself to a place that deserved praise. Again, this is where I feel like Jesus comes into play as the coach, because that takes away all of that. I'm not cool. I'm not great. I'm not any of those things. And I'd say the game where that changed for me, I played against Michael Porter Jr. and Isaiah Thomas last summer, and we beat them. Like me and 4 junior college guys, and then we had one guy that was out of shape. No offense if he watches this, but like he knows. And in that game, like I remember before, everyone was so hyped. They're like, "Oh, we're about to play this. We're playing in front of Jared Vanderbilt, Brandon Roy, Gilbert Arenas was there. Like we're playing in front of these big names." I remember like I had my headphones on and I was listening to this DC Talk song that was just like, "I keep trying to find a life on my own apart from you." Like, and it just like, as I'm listening to the lyrics, I felt like Jesus was like, "You can be cool or you can be with me. You can't have both." And so when I was like, all right, I choose you, like I'm telling you, I felt the anxiety go from my head to the floor. And then like I was so locked in. That was the best game I ever had. I held Michael Porter Jr. to 4 points. He's about to maybe win another championship, and like I held him to 4 points. You can go watch the tape. But it was like, I'm telling you, because like that was my struggle for so long, was trying to feel like I was cool. And even right now, like I'm paying attention sometimes. I don't pay attention as much anymore because I'm like, I know I'm not cool. But I used to be like, oh, if I'm in an interview, oh, hey, what's up, guys? It's like that's what adds pressure to people's lives, is if they think they need to be something, and then you're skipping steps. Once you are quote unquote cool to people, you don't have to say anything. Everyone else is going to talk for you, and at that point, you're like, okay, you're giving me praise that I don't even deserve. So it's different. So I feel like that's the hardest part for all athletes, is to understand is you're just a person. Yeah.
Great, thank you for that advice. And last question is, what is something you wish you knew at the age of 17 that can help someone like in their future?
The small mistakes matter and the small sins matter. They really do.
So just small mistakes, as in like the small details in their life, like just small things that they don't realize that they're doing?
I'm saying there's what I call basically they're gateway sins. Like the things that you feel like are really, really small, like the little lies, or the little, oh, I drank a little bit and maybe I shouldn't have, or I snuck around behind my parents. And the little things matter because you're leaning yourself towards a life that you don't want. You don't know it at the time because you think it's cool, you think it's fun, you don't want it. I promise you, I was lost for so many years where I was like doing something where I would make a little lie even if I was saying like, oh, I'm on my way or something like that, and I'm in my house, in my bed, not even close to being like ready or something like that. The small details matter. Like, and so like if I could go back and tell any 17-year-old, and I preach this with 60-year-olds, it's not just 17, there is no small transgressions that we make upon each other. Like there's bigger ones for sure, but there are no small ones, because they all lead towards the place that you don't want to be, you don't want to feel. And that's when people feel distant, that's when people feel disconnected from themselves. That's when people feel like, I can't do anything right. Like you're stumbling down a block that you don't want to go down. And so I help people feel that.
Okay, yeah, well, I agree, because small sins lead to bigger ones, and it just becomes a bigger problem. Hey, well, thank you for your time. Thank you for your advice, and don't forget to learn Plaque to See. See you in the next video. Bye.